Just a few short years ago, when ChatGPT rolled out, it was, oh my God, this is a really amazing website. Look at all the cool things it can do. And then the conversation absolutely changed into, oh my God, it is going to take all the jobs.
They took our jobs! Yeah, they took our jobs! They did!
And yeah, in some ways it will, and in other ways it's going to create some jobs. But here's the thing that I want to focus on. I think AI can absolutely make it harder for us to build wealth, and it is in ways I don't think many of us expect. Let's go ahead and break it down. There are three primary ways. Two of them are in the job market. One of them can impact entrepreneurs, and I think this is a blind spot for the vast majority of people. I think it's something that we're not talking enough about. It's one of those things where you don't see it now, but then 10 years from now, you're like, oh my God, there's an entire generation of people that suffered through this thing. All right, so the first one is this. A lot of our wealth starts with a job, right? Some sort of income. Whether you go off and start a business, some people start working somewhere, save a lot of money, and then start a business. All right, so it's making the job search process a whole lot harder than what it used to be. A few years ago, you could get on ChatGPT or a bunch of resume writing programs, get your resume perfect, apply, and they use what's called an ATS, applicant tracking system. It would grade your resume, give you 100, and you get to a screen interview, blah, 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 get the job. Okay, cool. In 2025, everybody has that, and everybody now has a perfect resume. So instead of you being 5 resumes out of 500 or 5 perfect resumes of 500 and everybody else is just not great, now there are 500 perfect resumes, and recruiters are like, oh my God, it's too much. Let's just hire Johnny and his nephew, and we're just gonna go with that and just leave it that way. That is how the job process is working currently, and it is why job openings are the way that they are. It's why people are applying to black holes, and it's why people who are currently out of work are out of work for so long. It used to be 3 months or so if you were laid off or something of that nature. Now that is being extended to 5, sometimes 6 months, and that is something that obviously makes it harder for you to build wealth. You don't have income and you're exhausting that 3 to 6 months of savings. Guess what? You're not saving, right? Because you're draining that savings. You're not investing because you're draining those assets, and your wealth is currently shrinking, and that puts you in a very stressful situation. This is also who has been saying this entire year you should increase your savings. That would be me. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, especially for people who are younger on the age spectrum, yes, we know that AI is going to replace some jobs.
Well, they took our jobs! They took your jobs!
What I am most concerned about, especially for those who don't have that early career experience. For example, there are programs like Otter. You log on to Zoom, you turn on Otter, and it will record all the conversation, type it out, summarize it, and then you can easily send an email. Great, amazing program. Congrats to whoever invented that. However, wasn't that a secretary's job? Wasn't that an intern's job? And while you may think that, yeah, that's trivial, I'm glad that we can replace that with AI so that person can go and do something else. That's all well and fine. However, the kid, because these were people who just graduated college or still currently in college, this was their avenue to get into the workforce, learn stuff, learn skills, what they wanted to do, what they didn't want to do, and then figure out where they wanted to go after that. And if they don't get that first year or 2 years or 3 years experience, how are they going to get the jobs that require 2 or 3 or 4 years experience? What are they going to do? And that's not the only program that's out there. There are several that do more basic to medium coding, that do all the secretary work. And remember, AI is on an exponential curve where every few weeks it does something that we didn't expect it to do. Just a few years ago, AI would just write you a cool little funny sermon. Now it's writing entire books. Now it is writing more advanced programs. It is continuously evolving. So what you think it can't do, it can absolutely do within just a few weeks or a few months. That is going to be a major problem. So if you're graduating college now and you can't find an entry position because AI is applying and eating up all of those jobs, what are you supposed to do just to crack into that field if you don't have that first 5 years of experience or so? Because that job doesn't currently exist, and you can't even get that job because you're not Johnny's nephew anyway. I don't know. If you can't do that, remember, the clock is still ticking. That is still an issue here because yes, while people in that position, or any position for that matter, could be young, these are years that you might not be investing. And while that's the case, especially in 2025, to date anyway, the market is at or near all-time highs. So you could be, let's say, 22 to 25. That's still 3 years that you weren't investing. Now, that could be worse. It could be way worse. But that is still 3 years of compounding interest that could absolutely add up down the line. But this is something that 10 years from now, we could be looking back saying, hey, this was the generation that AI absolutely crippled. The exact same way that later this fall, this is going to be the first generation or class, if you will, that's going to be the COVID kids. We're going to find out how different this set of kids is. In 18 years from now, we're going to find out what it's like for those kids who graduate high school. So this is that time of what is going to happen and how it is impacting the job search and the job entry piece of this equation. But let's pivot to entrepreneurs, because that is the other side of this. Now, this one is currently evolving. Remember, it is exponential. Okay, what is current will evolve here in just a few months. Could evolve by the time the video is over. But for example, there are a lot of people that think, well, hey, AI can replace a few jobs, but it cannot replace me. Sure, AI can't replace you. That may be true. However, it can drown you out. That is what I would be concerned about if I'm in very specific industries, at least right now. And here's what I mean by that. Just to make the math very simple. Let's say that there are 100 YouTube accounts or 100 Instagram accounts. And I'm one of them, right? 1% of the market, that's pretty easy. And as one person, I can create and generate enough articles to make a living, okay? Or enough videos to make a living. And I do have a certain capacity. I sleep, I can be a parent, husband, father, and I have to do research to do these things, okay? Like I can't just get up here and just say stuff, okay? I can't. Other people can. In other industries, they can because it's just opinion based. I gotta talk numbers and stuff. I got stuff I gotta do before I just get up here in front of the camera. But here's the problem now. With AI, there are 24/7 channels of content where you can just type in, hey, make up some BS about whatever, right? You got people making up, completely fake news clips or AI generated cats or whatever. They get millions of views that pays the people that made the content. And then you also got bots who sit there and watch the content that feed that content machine. And instead of 100 accounts now, there are 1 million. And that drowns me out, makes it harder for my content to get seen, makes it harder for me to generate the same revenue that I may have been generating earlier, and the robots don't sleep. That is a major concern. Another example is someone who publishes books. So for example, and you see all the books back here, but for me, right? When I write, usually it can take me like 2 years to finish a book. And the reason why is because I actually write mine. So my latest book, right, if you go to page 167, maybe you see that, maybe you don't, right? But there are pages at the back that have every single source that I got all my facts and data from. So starting at like page 167, but anyway, the bibliography, basically, last few pages. So every single article that I read, every book that I read to get all the information, I actually had to go read all those books, read all those articles, put them in the book, and then list them all out. I don't have to do none of that. ChatGPT don't have to do none of that if you do it that way. And while it may take me 2 years, they can produce a book every 30 minutes. And while you may see like this one may pop up as #1, or my next book may pop up as #1, they can absolutely drown it out and make the search results extremely difficult. Even if you're someone who, hey, I do plumbing or welding, they can't replace me. #1, they can't replace you yet. But #2, what if they can't find you on the internet because they've drowned you out by some other BS site or misinformation on the internet? That is the issue here. And if it hurts your income, that makes it harder for you to save, harder for you to invest, and everything in between. So yes, there is a danger and a bad side to using AI that's not the environmental and all the other sides of this too. Now, is AI absolutely bad? Am I telling you to unplug the machine and run for the hills and just avoid it altogether? No. I'm not saying that. There are obviously advantages to it. There are some investing tools that can help you become a better investor, find some advantages, and everything in between. If you are currently with a job, using AI can help you to gain a little bit of an advantage. So I'm not here to scare you away from AI. What I am saying is there are some ways that you can be harmed by it other than just snatching a job away. What it is doing, or what it can do rather, is be a wedge between you and the next opportunity, or just slow you down from doing what it was that you were doing previously. So for example, it doesn't stop me from creating content, it doesn't stop me from publishing books, but what it can do is make it harder to be seen. What it can do is make it harder for messages to get out because you're getting bogged down by thousands of videos that might not have existed before then. To be clear, this isn't me complaining. That was just bringing up a personal example. Spotify just a few weeks ago, I guess they were found out by having a whole AI band that was trending on Spotify, and they also had bots listening to the music to even boost their streams, which is weird because you're using bots to listen to fake music, which we all pay for if you're on Spotify. But the problem is, if you're already a user, or a musician rather, on Spotify, those are streams that you are not getting, making it harder for you to make money if you're already on the platform. And you, the musician, all the years you had to learn the music, play the music, perform, so on and so forth, you're getting drowned out by AI musicians who don't have to sleep. That is the issue, making it harder for those people to build wealth as well. So I just wanted to raise a flag and say, yeah, there are ways we can use it to build wealth, but there are some absolute ways that it can slow you down as well. If you want to learn more about building wealth, especially in this type of economy, you want to check out this video right here.